Onesies, a podcast of onesies and wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew,
My name is Emily.
and we are on episode 11 of 13 of 1959's World of Giants. We have made it. We might have gone into it knowing that it was only 13 half hours too, but
I was just going to say, like, the only show we didn't make it through, I think we could have made it through if it wasn't a 45 to 52-minute show.
exactly.
Um,
Um,
because this show is bad. It's bad in a very different way, obviously. But it's only half an hour, so I can kind of
yeah.
like
And this
feel.
one moved pretty well. Like I
Yeah.
actually preferred, other than Mel mugging for the camera a lot, because think they I think what really happened is they had him record stuff and then they just didn't use it because it sucked. And they like just didn't include his voiceovers because he has a lengthy sort of on the miniature set sequence, which seemed it also seems that the setting is determined by what props they have available. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we open with what I believe I was like, Emily's going to be thrilled by this. We open with Brownie preparing a thermometer, which looks not, it does not look correct. And I was like, it's 1959. They're not going to make a butt joke, are they? Because that's about the only thing. Instead, it turns into a regular sized thermometer, this object that the actress can hold in her hand and see with the naked eye and then read
She uses a magnifying glass.
to read the
Okay.
temperature, but to actually see the object, she can
Yeah.
just hold it, which you would not be able to do because an actual miniaturized thermometer would be 6 inches to Mel, or not even 6 inches. What's the thermometer? Like 3 inches? 2 inches,
So
two
it
and
would
a
be
half?
so it'd be like half an inch to scale. I don't know.
We've never figured this out. I could
I
ask
can't do.
ChatGPT to do it for
You
us.
should ask Chat GPT
All
to
right.
do it
So
for us.
Emily's going to talk, and I'm going to work on figuring out the scale.
So we hear Mel in his little house, and he's hacking up a storm. Just cough, 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 cough. He's calling out to Brownie, 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 Brownie. This is the first time I've noticed, maybe it's not the first time on the episode, where like his voice is echoing. We've heard him talk outside because we had this conversation very early on, like 6 inch tall man, his vocal cords would be smaller, he wouldn't be able, like a normal person wouldn't be able to hear him the same way, but we've never actually heard his voice be modulated in any way that's different until this episode, according to my faulty memory. Um, so he's like echoing, and while she's preparing this thermometer, which I guess I didn't even realize, she approaches him and she's like, "That's one heck of a cough you got there, son." And he's just like, "Turn on another record. I want to hear more music." And she's like, "Well, you've been coughing an awful lot, so we should probably make sure you're not sick." Gets the thermometer and put a pin in this because I hate that saying, but put a pin in this because it comes back around again later and it doesn't make any sense. Um, he takes his temperature and he's still talking, and she's like scolding him, like, "Don't talk with a thermometer in your mouth." Also, keep in mind that Brownie was a nurse initially, and now she's been hired as their secretary. But his temperature is taken, and Brownie looks at it, and it looks normal, but she gives him a glass of kind of piss-looking liquid and tells him
This
to
is
drink
another
it.
wonderful scale thing too, because it's like
Yeah,
a just a little bit smaller than a shot glass on her scale. But then for
yeah,
because he'd be like some freakish like 18-inch tall man, it would actually be awesome. It would be like disturbing to see, like, because he'd be like a little shrunken. He'd be like a well, I mean, I was going to say be like a jumbo Ken doll, but yeah, he'd be like a 12-foot tall figure, 12 to 16 or 12 to 16-inch tall thing. And it would be
yeah.
really
It would be
disconcerting.
creepy.
It
Yeah,
would be like a living Pinocchio at scale. It
yeah,
would be terrifying and much better show.
much better.
Much
Um,
better.
But
I also have that equation worked out for
what is
you.
the equation? So how big would a
Uh,
thermometer be if Mel was 6 feet tall or whatever you put in?
Based on a 3.5 inch length thermometer, which you cannot buy old thermometers anymore, like they
Oh,
had when I was a child, and assume your husband discovered when he was a child, by cracking the rocks open with his in the Stone Age. Uh,
he played with
he's
the
younger than I
mercury.
am, right? He's younger than
Yeah.
I am. Oh
He
God.
played with the mercury, which is why he's all messed up. He looks
Um,
older than he is.
wow. I mean we don't even okay. Um, but no, it's 0.38 inches. So I'm pretty sure you could
Oh,
not.
so that's you couldn't really. I mean, you
Yeah.
could see something, but yeah,
But yeah, you
that's
probably wouldn't
tiny.
be able to manipulate it with your fingers without.
Right.
And she is fucking around with tweezers and shit. Like, let's not
Yeah.
get this wrong. She's breaking down pills, mixing shit up because she's trying to make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Um, Sadly, Mel does not die of this illness, though maybe we've only got 2 episodes left.
We've yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
Brownie
something's
just
got to happen.
maybe Brownie just fucking stomps on him at the end. She's
Oh.
just like, oh, sorry, Bill, he's gone.
What
Okay,
dog got
so
in here and ate him? Oops.
yeah, there's no animals this one either.
No.
So
So he's getting his temperature taken and he's kind of being crabby about it,
yeah.
which again, pin in that because later on he's not so crabby about it. And or no, he gets crabby about it again. And his temperature is fine. Bill comes in. I don't know. I just watched it, but I barely paid attention.
So Mel is bitchy that Bill is taking so long with his magazines. I'm
Right.
going to die of old age. Bill has been gone approximately, I'd say 45 minutes. I'd say this trip takes 70 minutes on the outside. It's still early morning when Bill
Time
goes.
time goes a lot slower when you're 6 inches tall.
Maybe it does.
You
Maybe
can't
it does.
control you like he couldn't put on his own records. They
He
could
could literally sit there and watch
invent
TV.
a 0.38 inch thermometer that he could use to measure his temperature, but they can't scale down a record player and records for
Do
him.
you think if JD Vance watched this, he'd think that Mel was going to tear out a lingerie ad and hump it on the couch?
I don't know.
Okay. Um, he does not deny it. We watched an amazing John Oliver, not because of that, but because of his discussion of hot topic, political issue, hot button political issue. But he was making some JD Vance jokes, and they asked 3 times, and they refused to make a comment on it. So, couch fucker, couch fucker, couch fucker.
I wonder
Um,
if that means that there are like pictures or video evidence that exist that if he knows he can't deny it because even though he's Donald Trump's running mate, you can just deny everything despite there being
Photos of you
evidence.
being passed out
Yeah.
on the floor. Yeah.
Video of you
Um,
saying that something that you're denying having said. Yeah.
there's like a fake commercial, or they like do clips of commercials to sexy music, and it's gonna cause some fetishes. Like this is gonna be a thing. The flat earthers were a thing. Andrew Tate is 2 months from saying that he only will fuck couches, which means Elon Musk by the end of the year will fuck a couch, probably at a Tesla shareholder meeting. Moving on to this show. Um, but
All of that
anyway,
is
so
staying in, by the way.
Bill,
All of that stays in. You know
that's
that, right?
fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
You will be in the camp with me, but that's fine. Um, if he wins, I'll even tell the joke that I won't tell because it has even though it's about a bad person, it's not anyway. Um, we'll wait. So it's about his wife's name and Wayfair and furniture purchasing and how he thought he was buying a sofa to fuck, and instead he bought his trafficked wife. Okay, moving on. Moving on.
She's
Does
not a
anybody
victim.
listen?
She's not a
She
victim
is
here.
not a victim. She's not a victim. No,
Okay.
she's an active
She's
participant
complicit.
in
Yeah, she's
terrible,
complicit.
terrible things. And those presumably poor children, but they could be monsters too. We don't know. Moving on. Um, anyway, Bill's supposed to be getting him magazines, and we never see Mel with the fucking magazine.
No.
It never happens because I'm like, how's he going to read them? His house
I was curious
is.
too.
Thank you.
Because we
So
had
anyway,
this conversation very early on, first or second episode. It was, how can he even read things? Because the pages would be too difficult to turn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, unless they scaled everything down. So I thought that Bill was at the bureau, you know, with some shrink ray, shrinking down magazines to Mel size, bringing them to him. But no, he's just at a pharmacy, a local pharmacy, buying magazines, where he happens upon some lady, I forget her name, Sandra, and some
wow.
guy.
So what we're seeing here is Emily doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
Sandra
Zing!
is having a conversation in the back of the pharmacy with the pharmacist. I don't know, Dave. No, Dave is her
Nope, that's her
husband.
husband, Joe. He's
Joe.
wearing the pharmacist's coat. I don't
Yeah,
know if
he's a
Dave
pharmacist.
he's a pharmacist
No,
assistant.
Dave does wear the
Does he wear a
pharmacist
coat
coat
later?
when
Okay.
Bill comes back
Okay.
to talk to him, right? So they're talking to Joe. Joe and Sandra are having an illicit affair. They're smooching behind the thing. And you can tell that she's a little uncomfortable. You told me this morning that I was going to have to defend my sex, and like the best defense, the only defense, and the only explanation that makes any sense is original sin. So there you go. Women are evil inherently,
Okay,
because
fine. How about this? How about this?
men were made in God's image,
Okay,
and women are just extra
we
parts.
won't even talk about Brownie's experience with the gentleman this episode. Instead, we will just discuss Sandra's experience and her choices
Yeah.
in men as a woman in 1959 appearing on television.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me, can you
Mhm.
try to explain to me why women are heterosexuals?
Because Dick is just so good. So good.
Okay,
So it's the most attractive appendage. I love being gaped. They're delicious. Men keep them just immaculately clean. What else do
cool.
you need to know, Andrew? What
I don't
why don't
know,
you
but
ask
that backfired. Thank
why
you.
don't you
Thank you.
ask your wife? Why don't you ask your wife?
I ask her all the time.
Okay.
Her only answer is like, I don't know, Henry Cavill or something, right? Like, she has like two reasons and like two and a half because Scott Bakula, or something. Like, it's like Hugh Jackman, Henry Cavill, and, Scott Bakula seems okay. And like, anyway, in other words, the dudes are gross. So
Yes.
the guy she's having an affair with could play someone named Ferret or Weasel. Um, he will abuse her later. We will find out their backstory. And
Yep.
basically, he's been exploiting her for years. He comes back from prison and is able to repeat it because she has such low self-esteem that she doesn't think that she can basically forgive herself for things that she regrets and enjoy happiness with her new dude,
Right.
who is
So
not a looker
not a
either, but
looker, but he
I don't
treats her well.
treats
She
her
says
well.
this. He treats her well, and she says like better than she deserves, but whatever. Again, a woman with low self-esteem who's made bad choices and isn't willing to forgive herself and move on. But also, like, the backstory with this guy is that he went to prison. Like, he was involved in a bunch of scams. He went to prison. They had been together. And she was just like, I don't know what to do now. And so when he got out of prison and came back to her, she was like, oh shit. Like, I was in love with this guy. Now I'm married to somebody else. I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. I'm in limbo. I'm not giving her an excuse. I'm just trying to explain the backstory a little bit. So inherently, she doesn't do good things, right? She's doing bad things, and that's the story. The end result of that is very confusing to me. But let's continue with this, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. So basically they're just making out when we meet them. They hear Bill
Yeah.
come in.
Ugh.
I don't think the bell rings, even though the bell's gonna fucking ring.
He knocks. He like knocks on the counter. He knocks
But
on the
does the
counter when he's
bell
done.
ring when he comes into the store. I don't
Maybe,
think it does,
maybe.
but okay.
I think he's in the store. I don't even think we see him walk in.
Okay. Because the big deal is there's a fucking bell that rings when everybody comes in and leaves, and we hear it
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot, like 6 times in one scene. Except not for this scene when theoretically the people smooching in the back should know about the customer coming in.
They do see him and they make
They
note of
know,
him.
but
Yeah.
it's not great like later when go check and see who's there and we cut to Bill coming in and then we cut back to the same shot and they're going, yeah, I just checked. It's that FBI man. Okay, but that's later. So first, Bill's like looking at the magazines. Did you see Strangler?
I didn't.
Did you see there's illustrated with like a shirtless male model on the front, but then there's one called Strangler with a woman's face as she is being strangled by something.
So
Um,
he's looking at like muscle mags and porn.
yeah,
Cool. I want to go to a 1959 pharmacy where they sell muscle mags. Because my understanding is the U.S. Postal Service was not kind
no,
to people shipping that stuff around, let
no.
alone selling it.
So, and you're right, that guy's going to be deciding your laws next year, Emily, from beyond the grave. Cool. How's your governor, by the way? Is he jailing a lot of the unhoused folks? Those
I saw a video of him picking up like he was cleaning up a camp a, a camp formerly
encampment.
inhabited by the unhoused. And I was like, what an asshole. And then I made a joke to my husband this morning because he said, oh, there was nobody at the bus stop. Usually there are people sleeping or waiting for the bus. And I was like, oh, Governor Newsom came and drove them personally to jail, I bet.
And put them to work making your license
License
plates.
plates. Yeah.
Or no, actually, they're making your Pepsi, probably. I mean, they're making all your products for Whole Foods. Oh, Coke.
Coke.
Moving on. Hey, you think if Harris wins, we'll not talk about politics in every episode next year?
I
You
mean,
think there's a chance?
we won't have so much to think about all the time,
Okay, cool.
constantly.
Um, Also, maybe we'll watch something that's a little bit more intellectually compelling. Maybe we'll make that leap again. Okay, so what the fuck happens next? So Bill comes out, or the lady comes out, she sells him the fucking magazines. He's like, hey, what's
He
going on back
sees
there?
he sees Joe Estevez,
Lee.
whatever his last name is, in the background, and is like, "Who is that guy? Why does he look familiar?"
Mm.
And
Oh
Sandra's like, "Oh,
God.
that's Joe Estevez. That's definitely not my boyfriend. He just works here, but it's definitely Joe Estevez." And Bill's like, where have I heard that name Joe Estevez before?" And I'm just making that up. It's not actually Joe Estevez.
No, it's
And
Emilio.
it's not Emilio either. So the whole way home, I can only imagine whether he's driving or taking public transportation or taking a car, a taxi, something. He's thinking, well, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Where do I know him? Where do I know him? And in fact, the first thing he says when he walks in the door is, "Hey, Mel, does the name Joe Estevez mean anything to you?" And I'm only using that because I cannot remember his last name, and I don't even think it matters. And Mel immediately is like, "Nope." And Bill's like, "Oh, thanks for the help, asshole." And Mel never gets his magazines,
Nope. I don't even know if Bill has him anymore. Um,
but they pretty quickly remember who this Joe guy is.
and there's some
And
more with Brownie getting shit too, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
More about the medicine. But yeah, so we quickly find out that Joe Estevez is actually um he was a guy who was in the Lonely Hearts racket a couple years
yeah,
last year. So now the timing's all fucked up because they say it was like last year, which means
yeah,
that Mel misremembers things. So maybe it's the scale, right? Like he's got a problem remembering. But basically, dude like black ran a Lonely Hearts Club and blackmailed his customers, went to jail.
yeah.
Also, when they were at the joint earlier, the pharmacy earlier, sorry, how could I blank on this, our one location? When they're at the pharmacy earlier, we meet the husband and he comes in
Yes.
and
Oh,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
he embraces the wife and they have an awkward.
Joe leaves, the husband comes, she gets a gift of like a fancy brooch
Yeah.
that, he's like, oh, I know it's expensive, but I know you really wanted it, and it's just to show my appreciation for how much you love me. Very sweet. And you can see the guilt twisting her face up, right? Anyway.
And we established that Bill and Dude know each other. Mr. Tanner are like
Yeah.
acquaintances.
Dave. Yeah.
Because so Bill and Mel, even though this is not their case, they're going to go fucking investigate because they are men.
Even though Mel is sick,
action.
This is not their case. It just something stumbled upon. It's like, so you know who the guy is, you know what he did, you know he served his time. Why not leave this guy alone?
Okay, wait for it
because we're cops.
That's what the next scene is. The next scene, yes, this is really good early fucking propaganda when you think about it. So yeah. So we go back to the place and we don't see them together. The I want to call them not postman always doing twice double indemnity. We don't see double. No, that's different. Actually, she's not the femme fatale. That's kind of weird. Like, she's a victimized woman.
Yeah.
A sympathetic victimized woman.
But you're having me defend her. Thanks. You're having me defend this woman who is a victim. Great. Andrew, the victim blamer. Whatever. Anyway,
so Bill and Dave are talking in the pharmacy, which is really fucking weird because I'm like, how did this... Can I talk to you in back while you make pharmacy shit?
Yeah.
Like, I assume that's a closed space.
It's like, and it's like, he's like doing chemistry and stuff. And it's like, no, dude, you're not creating the drugs. Like, this is not a pharmaceutical lab. You are selling them. You are distributing them.
You're measuring them.
You are ensuring that there is a prescription, and I don't know, probably don't have insurance back then, right?
Well, also, I think the actual medicine that people buy is out front anyway. So this is all just like, I would not trust these folks to run a pharmacy.
No.
Okay. So they're just like talking for fucking ever because not only does Sandra have to come back and do something with her purse and eavesdrop on them, Mel has to sneak out of the briefcase, sneak past Sandra, sneak into her fucking purse, sneak back out again, sneak back over in the span of Bill's conversation with Dave.
About Joe. He's asking questions about Joe.
And he's like, did you know Joe's a fucking ex-con? He's disgusting. He's a disgusting fucking ex-con. Dave's like, I did know that. I believe in giving people a second chance. Oh, yeah, that's totally cool too. Just as a cop, I need to remind you, he's a fucking scumbag and you should be careful around him. Yeah. And yada, yada, yada. Forever, basically.
And, for the whole time. And he's like, no, I swear. He's got his pharmacist license. He can practice pharmacy. He even helps my wife with her charity work, which is
pin in the hat.
Drugs for underprivileged kids or something like that.
In like behind the Iron Curtain or in Germany or something. Well, we need to get into the interesting politics of what they're doing if we remember. So they have that long talk. Mel gestures to Bill to leave him by throwing something at Bill's head, which is funny.
So funny.
It's funny. Like she has like a lone Skittle in her purse, and he throws it at Bill's head.
But it's like this giant thing to Mel. It's so funny. Like full hands over the head, both hands, chucking it at Bill's head. It was so good.
It is not Arthur Franz is not particularly likable this episode. Like I felt like I was just like, Jesus, I used to like you more than this, dude. You're really just like giving up, aren't you?
But it's the best scene later when he
has a lot of good. There are a lot of good scenes with the bits
with him. Yeah.
including him taking another, getting knocked out again, and
Wait,
some really
yes.
bad acting in that scene too.
Yeah, but you had mentioned like Mel mugging to the camera a lot. That was the best one when
Yeah,
he's like trying to warn Bill using his hands very quietly, and like Bill goes to turn around and just gets punched in the face, and Mel kind of like looks at the camera like,
it's
"Ooh." It was so good. I
it's so
loved it so
weird.
much.
It's like it. What if this were a Marx Brothers movie? Also, that would be amazing. Okay, so um, what if there's a movie where the Marx Brothers were all miniatures and they like aid the romantic guy in his singing thing? And this is a movie that came out in 1936 and was great. There's
I
a
wouldn't like it
universe
as
where
much
that is.
because Harpo needs to be able to interact with people and like
He's
shake
the one who
hands
gets he
and have
because
all
it's
of the
Harpo. He
silverware fall out of his sleeve.
he gets his scale. He's the one who has his scale changes throughout. So he's the only one. We can workshop it for this
We'll workshop
universe.
it. Yeah.
Okay. So
AI is a wonderful thing. We can create our own Marx Brothers movie.
okay, so at some point somebody's going to make something actually good with AI and it's going to be a problem. So that
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
reality. Okay. So hopefully it's an established storyteller, but I don't, because they would be more responsible, but I don't. I think it's going to be the Million Monkeys typing thing, and
Hmm.
they're going to knock something reasonably good out. Probably like 14-minute thing to start, but
Yeah.
it's inevitable with this movie.
It's like
Any
it's like old time movie making, right? Like when the
Yeah,
first movies came out, they were like 11-minute silent shorts. It's going to be
yeah,
the same thing, except people are going to have six fingers and
yeah. Nobody's going to pay attention to the 3-minute ones, but you're going to be able to backtrack and find them. But there's going to be
yeah.
something that breaks out that's like 12 minutes and then it's all
Yeah.
fucking over. But
Yeah.
don't worry, we're going to fucking be drowning, so it won't matter.
I'll be drowning first. You're a
Somebody
mile above
wanted to
me.
work on the beach.
I
Somebody wanted to
know.
work on the beach. Okay.
It's so worth it.
So God, this fucking show. What is it about? It's now about Mel. Oh God, does he eavesdrop on people now? I think he's
Yeah, so Bill like
eavesdropping.
leaves and he's hearing all the gossip behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Joe Estevez comes back and is like, blah blah blah, I love you. And we get the backstory. And so he gets the backstory. Um and then they start working on the charity, which is like stealing the drugs and selling them.
No, it's even stupider than that.
I didn't quite get it.
So Joe is a counterfeiter. Okay, this episode is called Unexpected Fucking Murder, by the way. Okay,
Yeah,
there is no murder. I've been
there's no
waiting for them
murder.
to they don't want to kill Dave. Like, that's not part of Joe's plan here. His plan he is working for an international private equity, or not equity, espionage
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's counterfeiting money, which he says looks great, which is a problem because what he is doing with this, because you first think he's using the pharmacy as a place to disperse his counterfeit to get it into the, whatever. No, his beautiful counterfeit that nobody could tell, he's sending it to Germany or some fucking East or European country. I don't think they say the name. Maybe they say behind the Iron Curtain. Um, to destabilize their economy because it's counterfeit. And when it's revealed, they're going to go bankrupt.
Right.
That's the fucking plan. The drugs are presumably fine. So that's actually not a thing that we need to worry about. So Sandra's just helping him. But it does sound like the charity started with him.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So she's like, I don't want to fucking hurt Dave. He's like, fuck that guy. He sucks. He's a square. You're my broad. She's like, I don't know if I am anymore. Dave was there for me. And he's like,
Yeah.
sounds like a couch fucker to me. And she's like, you're the couch fucker, Joe Estevez. Um, Actually, no, probably the husband would be the couch fucker. So, but in this case, he's still the potential victim. So
Yes.
back home, Bill and Brownie are fucking hanging out and like talking. And then Bill gets a call about the fingerprints confirming that Sandra used to be Sandra.
Oh, right. That
Something else,
she's an
Martin, I
ex-con
think.
too. And
She's
so
an ex-con
now
too.
they're gonna go back and like treat her like shit because she's a
Right,
criminal and clearly cannot change or be better or
right.
have a second chance.
And he's gonna fucking narc her. Basically, at this
Yeah.
point, all he's
He
gonna do,
does.
he just wants to
Yeah.
narc her out to her husband.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't
Don't you
know there's
know
a
who you're
crime.
married to?
Right. Yeah.
Jezebel. Yeah.
The Jezebelian agenda. Bill's a couch fucker too. Okay. So Mel is a big time couch fucker. Let's
Well, I
be
mean, let's be fair to Mel. There's nobody for him to fuck. Like,
That's true. We looked it up and this probably came out before Barbies were a thing.
yeah.
Okay. So, um, do you think Greta Gerwig would sit with us for a meeting if we sent World of Giants to her as a prospective Barbie too?
Do you think I could send her some Andrea Dworkin and she could remake Barbie to be a little bit more edgier feminism
I think you got to take
instead
it.
of
I mean,
mm.
look at the world around you, Emily. Look at the world around you.
I know, and it makes me want Andrea Dworkin around. Sorry to be regressive, go back to second wave feminism, but fuck this feminism 101 shit. I want to cut off balls. That's what I want to do. Starting with you, friend.
That's why we do it virtual, folks. That's why we do it virtual. Okay.
Wait till September. Wait till September.
Is that you're visiting in September? I thought it was somebody else. Shit, I'm in trouble now. Are we recording in person? Fuck yes, let's do it. All right. We'll do a commentary. Is that gonna time right? When whatever. Well, we'll have a very special episode, folks. They get back. So yeah, so she Sandra has told Joe about Bill coming and asking questions, and so now he's like, oh, what the fuck, man, this is screwing up my timeline. I want to get paid my real money, don't you understand that? I gotta sell it to the guys up
Yeah.
above me. There are guys above me. So Bill gets there, he comes out and he's like, do you want some more magazines, Mr. Winters? Did you want some more strangulation magazines? It's totally normal. It's 1959.
I'm gonna have to rewatch, man. I
You
can't believe
are.
I missed that.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder what the magazines are. And I was just like, holy shit. Okay. So then Bill's like, no, I don't remember what he wanted, but whatever. He's like, but first I'm going to go. Oh, he's like, I need to talk to you. So he's actually going to go fucking tell her that he knows what's up with her and that
Yeah.
he's going to terrorize her first.
Yeah. Not
Hashtag manly.
blackmailer though, because he's a cop.
He's a cop. Well, it was probably encouraged that you just married the cop that like didn't arrest you or something. Yes, I know. Okay, so that's why it's not a video podcast. Okay, so he's like, I gotta go get my fucking briefcase before I tell you what's up. And she's like, no, don't go back there. And he's like, I'll fucking go wherever I want. He goes back. Joe comes out behind the door, smacks him over the head with a gun, knocks him out because we all know Bill's got a glass, everything. So then they're almost done packing, and there's also been some scenes where it's taken for fucking ever with them packing too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
really padding this out for Mel's miniature
But
activities.
in this like chit chatty session, we get a little bit more of the backstory, but we also hear Sandra talking about how she feels guilty and like she doesn't want to hurt Dave, and he's so good to me, and Andy.
So, and we never really resolved that. We actually cut to commercial break
Mm-hmm.
during her first bombshell. So we never resolve it, but it does not appear that Joe has like threatened to take her with or to kill David. They're just finishing up, and then he's presumably going to go. But
But
then,
she also is like, Dave's a good guy, and he's been really good to me when you were in fucking prison. And that's when Joe Estevez gets a little rough with her.
yeah. So Joe gets a little
Not
rough, but then we go to commercial.
then we go to commercial.
And then when we come back, they're just packing boxes
Yeah.
until Bill gets there. They knock out Bill.
Which is hilarious.
Um,
This is where we get a Mel panning to the camera in a funny way, like, oh, I told like a I Love Lucy, like,
Yeah,
ooh, cute.
it's it's very weird. It's somehow they still don't know what tone they're going for with the show, and we're 11
Yeah.
episodes in.
Like, because this could have been a very funny comic moment, and it
Yeah,
was to me because I take
fuck
pleasure in
Bill. Yeah,
Bill's. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so they're plotting, packing boxes, whatever. Mel just happens upon some ammonia capsules that he can use to revive Bill. How
Man,
convenient.
how convenient.
We get him
He
cracking a capsule.
drops it right under Bill's lip, or right under Bill's nose, right on his upper lip. It's so funny how perfect, and it sits there for a minute before he
Well,
actually is revived.
but also let's not forget that Bill, as he's knocked out and Mel's doing this, we're getting cuts to Bill unconscious. Arthur Franz cannot keep his fucking eyes shut. He's
No.
like, he's got a fucking itch. Something's going on. Marshall Thompson is tickling his feet or something. Like, something fucking weird is going on. Dude cannot keep his eyes still. When we finally get to him getting the ammonia tablet, it takes him like 2 minutes to wake the fuck up. It takes
Yeah.
forever for him to
Forever.
wake up.
Yeah.
He wakes up simultaneous to Dave getting back. So we then get Joe is going to shoot Dave because Dave saw Bill on the floor just before he got up.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, Bill knocks out, he kicks Joe's ass because that's the other thing. Despite being a glass everything, Bill can kick ass.
Yeah.
Like, it's really convenient for this show if you think about it. Because, like, what if he was bad at fighting, but he couldn't be knocked out? That wouldn't really
Yeah.
help. Instead, him being able to kick ass and being able to be knocked out all the time. It's very, very, it's why they're the best team in counter espionage. And then we get a little bit of resolution where Dave's like, I don't care what you did before, baby. And Bill's like, well, you're still going to have to come downtown. And Sandra's like, I know. And so she goes downtown. Presumably everything's okay with her. We find out Bill gets a call that from the commissioner. We don't see the commissioner this episode, but damn, we've got to mention him.
Yeah.
Hashtag continuity, hashtag commissioner, whatever. I don't even know if he has a name. But then they arrested the spy ring that was paying Joe to
Yes.
destabilize the economy of this Eastern European country. We then get Brownie finding out that Mel has a fever and is trying to hide it.
So, and
That
this is where
takes a
it's like,
while.
yeah, but this is where I was confused because in the first scene where he's sick, he's like, Brownie, you're not even taking my temperature when I'm having my hot flashes. And it's like it's almost like he knows he's sick and he wants to be sick. He wants it confirmed. And now suddenly he doesn't want to be sick. And it's like, make up your mind, you dummy.
And then they put on another album, and
Also, Brownie it's like after midnight, and all she wants to do is go
she was
home because she
supposed
was
to go
supposed to
home
leave
at
at noon.
noon. So we get back to
And
that.
she's got a headache, but they're going to put the record on anyway because they're men. And then Bill has her dance, and she's happy because she's dancing with Bill for some reason. And
Because they're
um,
fucking, obviously.
and then we get of our very first like aside to the camera, like from Mel in a very long time,
Well,
in
two
many
episodes, I think.
episodes.
Two or three.
Really?
Yeah.
I
It's
feel
just
like
you didn't have it for a while, so it was so welcome.
but all it is like, forgive me for giving Brownie a hard time. If I didn't have somebody to argue with, I'd go crazy.
Specifically a woman. If he weren't allowed to, fucking be shitty to a woman, he'd kill himself. That's all that makes life worth living. I mean, that's what the show's saying.
Oh God, I
The
can't wait till
show
this
that
is
is meant,
over.
the show that is meant for 13-year-old boys
I cannot wait for to be over.
who
Speaking
would
of,
then go on to marry women and make their lives miserable.
Well, speaking of, next week we are at episode 12 of 13. Panic in 3B. It's a long plot. I don't really want to fucking read it. Do you want to read
Okay.
it?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
We also didn't really talk about this episode being directed by Jack Arnold, who directed Creature from the Black Lagoon, Incredible Shrinking Man, a number of fine 50s films and some shitty 60s films. And
Actually, I do want to read this.
okay.
Um, just part of it. I want to talk about the plot. Panic in 3B. I don't know what that's about, but there is an attempt to kidnap Mel to take him back under the Iron Curtain to revert him back to his normal size.
That's exciting.
That's kind of
Somebody
exciting.
might actually, because Mel has never like run afoul of another person, of a person. Like
No.
it's always the animals. So that would
Now
be
we
interesting.
we got again a little bit of a peril here in this episode when he was because he still had his cough.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's hiding, and the pharmacist and his wife are the only ones in the room, and he's coughing and she hears it. So there is a little bit of peril, but I mean it's never going to come to anything.
No.
So it's interesting that there are two people trying to kidnap him to take him back to make him big again.
Why would they
But they're
be a
they're
problem?
baddies.
Oh,
They're
okay.
baddies.
They want to help him.
They're other secret agents.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out next week in 25-minute episode.
What's called
Whether or not that
Panic in
happens.
3B.
Panic in
Okay.
3B. So Andrew, I'm very much looking forward to that. And I will see you in Television Land.
I'll see you in Television Land as well, Emily.